The story begins in a school art room, where viewers are introduced to Uchimaki Subaru, a young man intently drawing amidst a somewhat cluttered space. Uchimaki is revealed to be a second-year middle school student and a member of the art club, harboring a grand dream. Soon after, a short-haired girl questions Uchimaki about his peculiar drawings, and he proudly reveals his dream, to draw the greatest 2D bride of all time. The opening page introduces the setting of an art club, full of talented yet somewhat lazy members engaged in various artistic activities. The short-haired girl, Usami Mizuki, also a second-year student, expresses annoyance at Uchimaki's peculiar hobby, but he casually refers to his drawing as the 17th bride, while complaining that Usami frequently criticizes his 2D interests. Usami was extremely flustered and embarrassed, wondering if his preference for 2D girls was truly appropriate. In a moment of anger, Usami punched Uchimaki's drawing, shouting that as an art club member, she detested the silly otaku drawings he always made. Uchimaki was horrified to see she had punched a hole in his artwork and yelled that her action was akin to an act of destruction, causing Usami to realize she had gone too far and quickly apologize. Uchimaki continued to dramatize the situation, declaring he would call Usami a destroyer, while she tried to explain it was just a drawing and she had already apologized. Usami continued to question why Uchimaki wasn't serious about his artistic talent and only drew such things, which surprised him slightly. Meanwhile, Usami and another male student discovered the club president sound asleep on the sofa, and despite Usami's hesitation, the male student woke him up. Uchimaki questioned the president's attitude, but he lazily replied that he didn't take anything seriously. The president, a seemingly lazy senior, instead showed approval and gave Uchimaki 100 points for his attitude. The president continued his scoring game, announcing that Uchimaki had over 26,000 points and was close to earning a prize, while Uchimaki looked utterly exhausted and wondered how long this joke would last. Usami was surprised the club hadn't been disbanded yet with a president who only slept, while another girl tried to encourage him to participate in activities. A cute magical girl character named Magical Ribbon, likely one of Uchimaki's creations. Usami felt pressured to shoulder responsibility for the club, while Uchimaki remained quite indifferent, considering his drawing merely research, which only added to her stress. Usami felt stuck in her drawing, realizing that stress was hindering her and wondering if she was experiencing a creative block. Seeing the president also sprawled out and saying he was in a slump, Uchimaki advised Usami to take a break and relax a bit. An unusual event occurred when the president, who always dozed off, suddenly stood up, astonishing the other members who joked that a massive commotion was about to happen. The president wakes up from a nightmare about a rain of weapons and is greeted by a friend with a good morning. Still thinking about the dream, the president gazes pensively out the window, and Usami comes to ask why he isn't drawing anything since he's already awake. Noticing the beautiful weather, the president gets the idea to go outside to paint landscapes. Seeing Usami and Uchimaki looking at him with strange eyes, the president asks why they have such expressions. The president reproaches Usami because she was the one who told him to go draw, making her worry that a storm is coming, while Uchimaki comments that the president is finally talking like a club leader. The president decides to drag Uchimaki along despite his protests, while Usami smiles and wishes them a good time. While Usami is focused on painting an apple still life, it suddenly starts raining heavily, and the two boys return soaking wet, with Uchimaki blaming the president for jinxing it. Uchimaki curiously asks Usami what is so fun about drawing apples, making her angry and demanding he apologize to the painter Paul Cézanne, who is famous for his apple still life works. Usami wonders about Uchimaki's displeasure, and he explains that the problem isn't fruit in general, but specifically apples. Uchimaki suddenly asks Usami if she loves the apples, which flusters her. She blames him for putting too much love into his work, but Uchimaki argues that a painting without love is not a masterpiece. Uchimaki suggests that Usami should try anthropomorphizing the apples so she can like them more, and she decides to accept the idea. The result of the anthropomorphism is a strange drawing of a man with an apple for a head, leaving a white-haired boy utterly perplexed, while Usami shyly admits it is her work. When the rain stops, the president suggests going back out to draw, but Uchimaki refuses and tells him to go by himself. The next day, Usami wonders about Colette-san's absence, and Uchimaki reveals that he asked her to model for him. While Usami is modeling, she feels discouraged because she knows Uchimaki will change her appearance in the painting again. Soon after, another student arrives and asks her to model for him. The blonde-haired boy confusedly asks if Uchimaki drew her too beautifully, but Usami denies it. The blonde-haired student suggests having the president model for a cute pose sitting on a chair, but then thinks he is too incompetent to pull it off. The orange-haired student remarks that this pose requires a certain level of cuteness and suggests that Usami is just enough to reach the cute mark, which surprises her. While Usami tries to pose as requested, she accidentally reveals her underwear, startling the blonde student and leaving her extremely embarrassed. Later, the president teases Usami about her outfit, while Usami feels ashamed and tells him to stop looking. A painter is instructing Usami on posing, asking her to hug her knees and smile so he can finish the drawing. Meanwhile, Uchimaki is laughing loudly at the situation, making Usami annoyed as she asks why he's laughing, and another secret observer is also chuckling to themselves. The president suddenly appears from behind the sofa and sarcastically remarks that Usami and Uchimaki seem to be having fun, while Usami looks worried. Usami angrily questions the president about the camera he's holding, after he teased her about the previous undergarment incident, while Uchimaki tries to stop her. In a quieter space, a painter is intently drawing Usami as a model, while another student observes from a distance and decides to leave them be. Uchimaki announces he has finished Usami's portrait sketch and invites her to see it, which surprises and confuses her. Usami is extremely surprised and happy to see the drawing depicting her with long blonde hair, exactly the image she desired. However, Usami becomes furious when Uchimaki reveals that the actual model was another girl named Ribbon-chan, and he even used a different pose. Usami points out a detail and questions it, then Uchimaki asks her to look closer. Uchimaki boasts that he drew the undergarment part of the maid outfit exactly like Usami's, with blue stripes, causing her to react intensely with embarrassment and anger. Usami becomes even more flustered when Uchimaki reveals that he used the photo the president took earlier, and she can't believe he even noticed the pattern on her undergarment. An enraged Usami storms into the room looking for the president and chases him, while Uchimaki sits in contemplation, wondering if he might have gone a bit too far. While Usami is embarrassed, Uchimaki intently redraws her image in his sketchbook. Uchimaki is diligently drawing in his private room, using an image of a girl on the screen as a model, showing his passion for art. The scene shifts to the clubroom, where Uchimaki is slightly injured and Imari Maria is remorseful, while the club advisor announces the club is about to close. After loud noises echoed throughout the school, the scene shifts to a quieter space, where the president is waking up next to a resting patient. The president wakes up on the sofa, surprised by the chaotic scene with a large puddle of black ink on the floor, where Uchimaki is sitting and Uchimaki is standing in a panic. Uchimaki confusedly explains that he spilled paint while drawing, while the president looks shocked and asks about the massive mess caused by the incident. The art club president expresses frustration and reluctantly asks for the cleanup to be done before Usami arrives, fearing she will get angry. In the chaotic clubroom with spilled paint on the floor, a blonde girl appears and, along with the president, expresses surprise at a drawing of a cat-eared girl. Uchimaki looked confused when the pointing individual asked about the cat-eared girl painting he had drawn. The president deduced and presented the shocking conclusion that the painting face down in a sea of blood was Usami's work. Just as Usami was about to arrive, the panicked group of students tried to hide the mess, while Usami appeared with a curious expression, completely unaware. Usami met Uchimaki at the art room door and wondered about his presence, while Uchimaki seemed surprised to see her there. Usami opened the door and saw Uchimaki standing there, sweating profusely and looking tense, so she urged him to move aside. Usami angrily stopped Uchimaki, demanding he cease his suspicious behavior and get out of her way. Upon entering the room, Usami was horrified to discover the president lying unconscious on the floor, and Uchimaki beside her was also extremely shocked upon recognizing the person. Uchimaki and Usami were extremely shocked to discover the president lying unconscious on the floor, creating a mysterious and tense situation. While Uchimaki decided to play along with this absurd situation, the president worried that they would get into trouble if the person on the floor woke up. Uchimaki regretted letting Usami see the horrifying scene, and then screamed when she stepped on a puddle of red liquid, which he believed to be the president's blood. Amidst the tense scene, the truth was revealed that the liquid, which appeared to be blood, was actually just paint, leaving everyone bewildered. Usami scolded Uchimaki because she, the president, was still lying around and called her useless, which made Uchimaki extremely embarrassed and angry. Uchimaki asked Usami-san to think more carefully about the situation, and when he began to mention the weapon, the girl looked surprised. Usami questioned Uchimaki if he was joking, while he hypothesized that a culprit had taken something missing. Usami frustratedly wanted to focus on finishing her painting, but she suddenly realized the club's submission deadline was tomorrow and jumped up in surprise. Usami asked Uchimaki-kun about the painting she had left behind, and although he denied seeing it, his liquid-stained appearance disgusted her, before he asked if it was the important painting she intended to submit for the competition. Uchimaki stood panicked beside the lying president, worried that the situation had gotten out of hand and trying to search for something. Usami suggested waking up the unresponsive figure, president, to help search, causing the blonde boy to panic and ask why she was talking to an unresponsive figure. To prove his point, he hit the lying person, making them yelp ouch. After Uchimaki remembered seeing a canvas on the shelf, Usami found it and wondered if Colette-san had accidentally tidied it away. The tiny girl asked her to help find a lost item in the back. The president seemed to have damaged an important item, possibly an entry submission, causing him to fall into a state of shock and despair, while Uchimaki called out to him in concern. The president was writhing on the floor in stomach pain, but Uchimaki calmly pointed out that there was an even more urgent matter. 3 students were searching for something, with Uchimaki appearing panicked, Usami actively searching, while the president lay sprawled on the floor from exhaustion. Uchimaki pointed out that he was referring to a specific article of clothing belonging to the black-haired girl, as she was in an active pose that caused her skirt to lift slightly. A pencil unexpectedly fell from the bookshelf, startling all 3 main characters. Usami tried to reach for a book on a high shelf and lost her balance, causing Uchimaki to react in shock and try to catch her as they both fell. Although Uchimaki tried to catch Usami, both ultimately lost their balance and fell to the ground. In the chaotic situation after the fall, Usami demanded that the 2 boys quickly get up and move away from her. The president, lying face down on the ground, groaned in stomach pain and explained that it was because Usami's painting had struck him. After a chaotic scene where Usami styled her hair into bunny ear buns and Uchimaki forced the curly-haired boy onto a chair, the curly-haired boy appeared with a stained shirt, implying an awkward situation had just occurred. In a tense situation, the president, with a blood-stained shirt, handed a damaged electronic device to Uchimaki and apologized, while the white-haired girl continuously showed worry and fear. Usami, in a fit of rage, smashed a computer with a baseball bat, despite the 2 horrified boys trying to stop her. The students debated submitting Uchimaki-kun's print to a competition, with Uchimaki appearing flustered, not wanting everyone to stare at his bride. A few days later, Uchimaki Subaru's painting won second prize in the art competition, causing the main characters to have different reactions to the result. At Tsukumori High School, where Uchimaki-kun, a rare talent, declared his life's goal was to create the ultimate 2D bride, surprising a girl in the club. Uchimaki hinted that Usami-san was enthusiastically helping Uchimaki-kun, and she reacted strongly, awkwardly clarifying that it was only because they were both in the same club. 2 other characters were introduced, the president, who often napped but cared about everyone, and Colette, a mysterious member about whom little information was known. One of the characters remarked that the club was a collection of troublemakers, making Usami visibly annoyed, and a narration hinted at an upcoming event. Usami read a letter from Colette announcing that she would be taking a break from work because the world is too dangerous. While Uchimaki-kun was engrossed in drawing, Usami suddenly called his name. Usami complains about Uchimaki's noise and accuses him of laughing on purpose, while he feigns innocence and eventually coughs to deny it. Standing in a messy room, Usami seems to have deduced the cause of the situation. Uchimaki suggests Usami-san is smiling because he drew a cute girl, which she awkwardly denies. Uchimaki is excitedly talking about a 2D bride he's drawing, but Usami reminds him to return to reality. Uchimaki passionately praises a 2D female character in a maid outfit, calling her his life's dream, which annoys Usami because he's speaking too loudly. Usami remarks that Uchimaki-kun, who usually seems indifferent, easily gets excited about things like cat ears and tails. Uchimaki talks about a mysterious girl who becomes a maid, while Usami blushes when mentioning a man's interests, indicating his excitement. Uchimaki excitedly details the maid girl's outfit in his drawing, until Usami declares the drawing session over. Usami wonders about Uchimaki's intentions after completing his ideal bride drawing, and he confidently replies that it won't be an issue. Usami declares her intention to give up, while Uchimaki says he'll give up after finishing his painting. Uchimaki informs Usami that he's leaving the art club, leaving her utterly surprised and shocked. While a boy is sound asleep, Usami-san frantically grabs Uchimaki and questions them about never mentioning this before. Uchimaki states he has no reason to stay after his bride is complete, making Usami angrily retort that she always said his works weren't suitable for the club. Uchimaki thinks Usami would be relieved if he quit, causing her to avert her gaze, cover her face, and stammer incoherently out of embarrassment. In a sudden moment, Usami, with a panicked expression, lunged forward and sent Uchimaki flying off the table with a punch. While Usami tries to hide her embarrassment, other students observe her from the school's windows and balconies. The club members discuss and worry about Uchimaki's decision to leave, with Usami briefly expressing her disappointment about the consequences. The president tries to convince them that he's a gentle person, while a girl expresses discomfort that Colette-chan isn't coming and she has to stay with the president. The members worry about Uchimaki's departure affecting the club, especially as they recall his second-place achievement in a drawing competition, which was very good for the club's image. A girl asks the president if he can perform an yukimi from the height of the railing, while another person appears to be slumped over on the floor below. Usami teasingly asked the president if he still wanted to try anything else, causing him to panic and beg for her forgiveness, and even though she said she was just kidding, he continued to panic. The two friends discussed a secret plan to stop Uchimaki from leaving, and the president agreed to try it. Uchimaki was smiling and focused on drawing in the classroom, seemingly deep in thought as he worked. The president called Uchimaki closer, but Uchimaki refused, saying he was busy. The president excitedly showed off a new pillow he'd bought with club funds, making Uchimaki furious and question his actions. Uchimaki tried to talk to the president while he was sound asleep, but the president only responded with snores. Uchimaki was startled to realize that the mysterious and intimidating girl holding a baseball bat was none other than Usami. The president appeared surprised and concerned when asked if he intended to leave the club. Meanwhile, in another scene, a president offered to listen to others' worries but was advised to focus on his own first. Colette commented on Uchimaki's predicament, who had a baseball bat stuck on his head, and then abruptly asked him about the 3 arrows story. After the metaphor of unity's strength through 3 arrows, Uchimaki was startled to see a mysterious figure whose head was heavily bandaged, who then reassured him that they were fine. The president tried to explain something, but Uchimaki showed annoyance and told him to leave, then muttered about the waste of time. Uchimaki felt distracted while drawing and decided to stop, then Usami arrived to announce she was going home, which surprised him. Uchimaki noticed an object covered with cloth, while Usami stood beside him with a displeased expression, declaring that something deserved her full attention. Uchimaki joked that Usami-san would also be invited to his wedding, making Usami react with discomfort to his remark. While Uchimaki commented about looking forward to something, Usami realized that she had never truly had a place in his life. Usami recalled the first day she met Uchimaki Subaru, a first-year student, in the art room. A newly joined Uchimaki bowed and expressed his delight, while he and Usami were sitting at the interview table. Uchimaki was deliberately giving the club president a hard time, making her flustered as she introduced the club's selectivity. Uchimaki was blamed by 2 others for people quitting and for his loud snoring, leaving him confused and questioning these accusations. An instructor reassured Uchimaki about the upcoming questions, encouraging him to answer honestly without worrying about right or wrong. The president is questioning why someone would want to join the club in October, and if they've ever joined any other clubs before. While the president objects to something, Uchimaki explains that he has a lot of free time because his favorite anime series has ended. The president asks Uchimaki about his plans for joining the club, while Usami is confused, wondering what she wants to do. Uchimaki excitedly and determinedly declares his desire to draw the most perfect, 2-dimensional bride. A flustered and slightly blushing Usami observes a scene unfolding in the distance, involving 3 other students. Uchimaki excitedly reveals his 2D bride, surprising and perplexing the dark-haired individual. The president excitedly accepts a new member, but then angrily realizes that this is an art club, not a manga office. During a meeting, Uchimaki appears extremely eager to start drawing, prompting the president to comment on his seriousness. After scolding Uchimaki for his messiness, Usami suggests they both get along since they are both first-year students, and Uchimaki expresses his gratitude. Usami Mizuki, and Usami, is introducing herself and extending her hand as if to shake. Usami offers to shake hands with Uchimaki, but he appears confused and silent, which also perplexes her. A smiling Uchimaki declines Usami, stating that he has no interest in 3-dimensional girls, which surprises her. Usami is initially surprised, then becomes extremely flustered and strongly objects when a male student boldly restrains her, while another male student observes with amusement. While Usami angrily denies having feelings for someone, the president calmly teases her, and an inner monologue, "though I already knew," appears. 2 students, 1 male and 1 female, are walking in opposite directions, with their scattered thoughts forming the question, is it really over? Usami calls out, "Hey," and Uchimaki responds, while another character seems to be departing. Usami asks Uchimaki if he truly intends to leave the art club as they walk across a bridge. After Uchimaki confirms something, Usami's inner monologue reveals that she only needed a simple phrase to encourage him. Uchimaki seems to guess Usami-san's thought that she would be lonely if he quit, causing her to become extremely flustered and blush. The two characters express surprise and confusion at an event or discovery, with Usami blushing and bewildered. After Usami mustered all her courage to say, "I'll do it." Uchimaki joked that he was lying, disappointing Usami, and even though he tried to laugh it off, she remained silent and clenched her fists. Uchimaki was surprised and flustered to see Usami-san crying and blushing, calling her name in astonishment. Uchimaki was confused seeing Usami blush and assumed she was crying, while Usami was actually sobbing uncontrollably over something else. Usami was sobbing incessantly, and when a boy appeared, she expressed her embarrassment and asked him not to look at her. Usami reflected on a terrible day, expressing a wish to cease existing and regretting not having said anything to him, after having cried profusely. Usami anxiously arrived at the art room, where Uchimaki appeared and seemed surprised to see her. Usami arrived late and found Uchimaki on duty, creating an awkward moment, after which she pondered the club president's absence. Usami visited an art room and inquired about an artist's progress, causing him to turn around, and she felt a little shy. Usami stood before a blank canvas, and when Uchimaki and another female student asked about it in surprise, she calmly replied. Uchimaki proudly presented a large poster of an anime character he called his new bride, surprising Usami and prompting her to tease him about his fidelity. With Usami shyly complaining about something, then wondering. Usami was surprised when Uchimaki suddenly changed his mind about giving up, and he affirmed that he would continue. Usami angrily grabbed Uchimaki's collar, demanding an explanation for what happened yesterday, while the male student appeared startled. Uchimaki confessed that Usami-san was the reason he didn't give up, which surprised and flustered her. Usami awkwardly spoke of her fascination with a man in a suit, then she asked Uchimaki about the meaning of his words while he blushed. Uchimaki, with a radiant smile, was expressing his excitement about someone's tearful face from the day before. Usami misunderstood Uchimaki's excitement as being for her, but he explained that his enthusiasm was about a different situation. The girl wondered if the male student was focusing on drawing crying girls, and he confidently confirmed, then declared he would draw a perfect bride, causing her to exclaim that he was unbearable. The club president entered the room, excitedly announcing he had something to show everyone, while another member guessed incorrectly about what he brought. Two students are wondering about the concept of arrows, and the president reminds them of the 3 arrows story to begin his lesson. The president gives the two students pointer arrows as gifts and encourages them to work hard together, but they seem to decline, which surprises him. The art club, with Uchimaki standing at the door with a surprised expression, along with the author's thanks for the youthful stories from the club. Uchimaki enters the empty club room and expresses surprise at seeing no one there, not even the president. Uchimaki initially appears confused and startled on the sofa, then carefully looks over the back of the sofa, and finally shows surprise. Uchimaki anxiously calls out Colette's name. She is lying face down on the sofa, her condition unclear. The junior student named Colette-san, a member of the art club, is smiling and greeting a senpai named Uchimaki. She is introduced as a foreigner who has lived in Japan for 6 to 7 years due to her parents' work. Colette decided to stay in Japan after her parents returned home, and a question is raised about whether it's alright for her to remain in the current situation. Colette-san wishes to hold her future in her own hands. Colette is searching for her lost necklace, which surprises her, while she also thinks that's not a compliment. The long-haired student asks Uchimaki-senpai to help find a locket containing an important photo, and he considers Colette-san's circumstances before agreeing. When Uchimaki asks about the type of locket, Colette seems to reply by talking about an object that cannot fly, causing Uchimaki to interject and affirm that he already knew that. The white-haired student and Uchimaki are walking hand in hand down the hallway, while Uchimaki has internal thoughts about her habit of holding hands. Uchimaki has a moment of imagining himself and Usami-san holding hands, while also worrying about her reaction if she were to see that scene. Uchimaki reminds Colette about her necklace, making her realize and respond. Two students, Uchimaki and a long-haired girl, are in the lost and found room, with the boy searching in a box and the girl arranging items on the table. Colette notices the rabbit-shaped pin that the short-haired male student is holding and asks if it belongs to Usami-senpai, and Uchimaki confirms it. A classmate is helping Colette search for her lost necklace, and after not finding it, Colette decides she must recall the places she has been herself. Colette recounts the troubles she encountered during the day, from flying a kite on the rooftop to being discovered by a teacher and taken to the disciplinary room, which makes Uchimaki tense. Uchimaki questions Colette about where she had been yesterday after she confessed to losing her necklace, leaving her confused and shocked. Uchimaki declares he will no longer help Colette, which alarms her, but their conversation is interrupted by the sudden appearance of Maria and Usami. Usami approaches and asks the two other students if they've lost anything, and they reply that they are looking for Colette-san's necklace. Usami finds lost items for Colette, while Colette remains worried because she hasn't found her necklace, and Usami informs her that it's not in the lost and found room. Usami apologizes, explaining she has class duties, and Colette offers to help her later, while Uchimaki bids farewell. A female student hands Uchimaki a string of beads and asks him to deliver them to the president, making Uchimaki and another female student realize the situation resembles the story of The Farmer and the Straw. Parallel to Uchimaki discussing the president finding the pendant, an illustrated story about Warashibe history is presented, narrating a farmer's journey of trading items to gradually acquire a great treasure. Uchimaki initially agrees with the long-haired girl's positive thinking, but then becomes confused when she talks about opportunism. While Uchimaki is pondering the feelings of the girl accompanying him, the black-haired male lead appears with a curious expression upon seeing the sign for art room. Uchimaki returns an item that the president had dropped, which surprises the president, who expresses gratitude. Little Colette, with a cheerful expression, is holding the hand of a mysterious man, who continuously talks and eventually asks her to return something. The blonde girl asks the president about her lost necklace, and after he replies that he hasn't seen it, she suddenly mentions Mayor Straw, leaving him perplexed. A boy is wondering about his role as president, while a girl expresses disappointment and calls him a useless president. Usami shows dissatisfaction when Uchimaki suggests searching for something outside, then she expresses despair to the president. Two characters panic upon realizing the item they are looking for might have been taken after a long and fruitless search. Colette expresses her distrust in the two boys, while one of them is surprised and retorts that that's what they wanted to say. Colette teases Uchimaki about his innocence, but then she appears startled and flustered by his reaction. The long-haired girl reacts in a panic when Uchimaki asks about a pendant. She tries to conceal it and denies, leaving him confused. The president questions Colette about what she is hiding, and she frantically tries to deny it, but accidentally reveals something from her pocket. The president continues to question the blonde girl about what she is concealing in her fist, making her visibly panic and attempt to deny it. After the two male students appeared tired, one of them declared, "Magic showtime," causing the long-haired girl to become extremely startled and terrified. Colette performed an object teleportation magic trick, but an adult man showed annoyance and told her to stop. The long-haired girl was extremely distressed and tearfully apologized after realizing the lost necklace had been in her pocket the whole time, while the president worriedly asked her to stop. The pendant necklace was found, and the blonde girl expressed deep gratitude to Uchimaki-senpai for helping her find it. The president teased Uchimaki about his unintentional kindness, making Colette laugh, while Uchimaki also questioned a family photo. Uchimaki was surprised when his guess about the blonde girl's item was denied, while the president explained why he thought it was related to her parents. Colette caught the attention of the two male students by showing them a small object shaped like a four-leaf clover, making both curious and surprised. The girl showed off her adorable sticker photo inside a necklace, surprising the two male students standing next to her, who blushed when they realized it was a selfie. Usami stood in the school hallway, holding a stack of documents and deep in thought about a necklace she couldn't find. The president announced that they would be making posters today. The two students were extremely excited by the president's appearance, calling him president, while he seemed embarrassed and asked them not to overdo it. Uchimaki asked about the purpose of making posters, blandly offering two humorous guesses, but they were immediately dismissed by the president with annoyance. The president recalled advisor Koyama's suggestion that the club should make posters for other clubs to promote themselves at the same time. The president recounted being sleepy and refusing something, while the three other students looked puzzled and wondered about someone who had become president. Koyama had successfully convinced, with some persuasion, another man to draw the posters, which made Uchimaki angry and shocked upon realizing it. The girls were surprised when the president was reading a book on improving sleep, and he enthusiastically explained the benefits of napping. After exchanging thoughts on the remaining books, the three students began discussing making posters for clubs, with one suggesting they make one for a popular club. Usami excitedly imagined joining sports clubs, while Uchimaki suggested the brass band club, and she finally found some information in the documents. The president read out a club name as Occult Club, surprising Usami, and the white-haired person looked down at the floor. Usami revealed it was the Occult Club, surprising Uchimaki, but he then reconsidered, and she suggested that at least they had someone to draw with. Uchimaki enthusiastically talks about the idea of personifying the Occult Club as an interesting-looking girl, while the bob-haired girl shows annoyance and tells him to stop. Usami is surprised when the curly-haired boy tries to stop the light-haired person from abandoning poster work to go draw a bride. In a classroom, Uchimaki asks Usami about Colchan's whereabouts. The three main characters are shocked and worried after discovering a letter left by Colette, stating that she has run away and asking them not to look for her. Three students gather around a table to begin a brainstorming meeting for a poster, with Usami leading the discussion. Two students begin discussing the definition of occult phenomena, with the female student suggesting UFOs as an easy-to-understand example. Usami introduces UMAs, unidentified mysterious animals, while Usami and the blonde student add other mysterious topics such as psychic phenomena and ancient civilizations. The club members are listing legendary topics, and debating whether to include things proven to be hoaxes, like the Loch Ness Monster, eventually striking it from the list. Usami brings up the topic of hoaxes and strange phenomena such as crop circles. Usami explains that modern crop circles are man-made, while someone is writing the phrase, crop circle, on paper. Usami explains the phenomenon of pareidolia, the human brain automatically recognizing faces, and connects this to seeing ghosts in photographs. The president explains the phenomenon of ghosts in photos due to simulacrum, while reminding Colette not to move to avoid blurring. The president is surprised by Uchimaki's extensive knowledge of ghostly phenomena, while the male student explains that he has been researching it for a long time. Uchimaki expresses pride in a painting of a little girl named Alice that he drew in art class, considering it a rather cute piece. Usami recounts a terrifying experience when her painting resembled a ghostly face, scaring the entire class and preventing the painting from being hung. Amidst disjointed scenes of a school, a student is taking notes on Nostradamus and prophecy. The three friends show extreme anxiety when faced with a document full of errors or crossed-out lines. The president expresses disappointment that there are no more viable ideas for the project, while Usami reacts with displeasure. Usami is trying to speak when she is interrupted by a mysterious man, while two other small figures are hiding behind a bookshelf, listening to a sudden sound. After Usami shows embarrassment, she angrily shouts for everyone to stop joking around, while Uchimaki, beside her, exclaims that the event is real. Usami is confused and wonders about the source of a strange sound, while other students also appear surprised and startled. Two students are utterly horrified as they witness lockers in the hallway mysteriously moving on their own, and they express their panic at this phenomenon. Uchimaki suggests the president take a photo as evidence, but immediately afterward, he becomes utterly terrified, shouting about a moving spirit. The president unexpectedly encounters the blonde girl, who is smiling shyly as he finds her. Colette-san is revealed to have been hiding, and upon being discovered, she playfully explains that no one was looking for her. The president wonders why she said not to look but then appeared, and Colette wittily explains the inverse meaning of "don't look for me" in Japanese culture. The blonde girl angrily asks why those around her are disappointed with her appearance, while Uchimaki appears surprised and then understands. Colette is discovered while hiding, and the president wearily assigns his work to her, astonishing a hidden observer. The characters are reviewing ideas for posters, finding them all suspicious and wishing for something more reliable. Three students are conversing, with Colette beginning to compile suspicious information, and Usami speaking to introduce the topic of the occult. The group of students eagerly discusses supernatural phenomena, with the blonde girl and the president expressing interest, while Usami speculates about the possibility of monsters and secret societies. A poster advertising the Occult Research Club is displayed, featuring an image of a UFO abducting supernatural creatures and objects, aiming to recruit new members. Three students are looking at posters displayed on the notice board, and two of them make positive remarks about their placement and content. Uchimaki and Usami discuss how the poster will attract attention, while in another scene, Colette-san expresses her gratitude to him. Three students are walking in the hallway, and Uchimaki expresses his thoughts on how they were taught not to overthink things and acknowledges his own stubbornness. In the school hallway, a group of students is intently looking at the announcements on the bulletin board.